God and in
peace
with
liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call. John.
Here.
Dale.
Here.
Sean.
Here.
Troy's here. And today is the day that Ron is done, I guess.
Yep.
So, Mark and Joe, welcome. We will proceed here. Approval of the agenda.
Yeah, with the, I think we should shuffle the agenda around so that we have a commissioner, 5 commissioners in place. So I think we should move the District 3 commissioner vacancy up to the next item on the agenda and proceed. Do you have the oath of office?
I,
Okay.
Any other changes or additions to the agenda?
I have water board. Add the water board to the agenda.
It's on there.
Water
water
board.
board resignation
The
letter.
resignation, does that cover?
Yeah, that should cover that.
Okay.
I would think water board resignation and appointments,
Should we put in appointments?
if there are any.
I've been trying.
Do we just need one oath of office or 4 with the water board stuff?
Well, there's no water board people here.
Okay,
I
so
don't
we'll
think
just
we'll
do
need
one.
that.
Just one, I think.
Mhm.
Anything else?
I'll move we approve the agenda as modified.
It's been moved by John to approve the agenda as modified. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next thing on the agenda is District 3 Commissioner vacancy and parties interested in fulfilling the unexpired term of Ron Dahl. Guess I've never done this before, fellers. Do you guys want to say something before we proceed?
Go ahead.
I think I'm going to just assume that, I mean, I don't know if we need to have nominations, but I'm going to assume we don't because there's only 2 of you guys that are interested. So I'm just going to assume that you're both nominated for the position and we'll have to vote when the time comes. But if you guys would like to say a few words, I guess I'd sure entertain that.
Well, I'm Mark Uranus, and I've lived in the community all my life, my wife and I, and we're both graduates from Griggs County Central, or the Links, or Cooperstown at that time, and I remember when Laverne closed and Dale came in, we were classmates together,
Oh, were you?
and Sean was a couple years ahead of me, and I've been on various different boards throughout the community. I've been on the township board, I've been on the elevator board, and I'm on the Renaissance board with the city. We moved to town about 7 years ago. Been married 33 years. My wife Kelly, she works at the FSA office. Other than that, my son and I are farming together on a family farm since about the 1800s, and I guess I've always felt in community involvement. You can either live in a community or you can be part of it. So with that, I'll let
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Joe?
Thank you, gentlemen. My name is Joseph Dalbert. I moved the area in 2008 from Minnesota into McHenry. I came to Cooperstown in 2011, right away in the beginning of the year. Always try to be as involved in the community as I can. Recently started coaching elementary football here in town, and then currently working at the hospital here in maintenance. Always been interested in being a part of the local government. I even ran against Ron Dahl on our last election, so narrowly lost to Ron, which was great. You know, it was a real nail biter of an election service, but it was great to see as many voters as we did come out that year, so that was huge. Been married for 6 years with my wife for 11. We have 3 beautiful children together, and love calling Griggs County and Cooperstown our home. So, thanks, John.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Okay, we don't need a motion, I don't think, do we? I guess first, probably do this roll call.
Mhm.
Do we call for one candidate and then the next, or?
I believe so, and then the candidate that gets the most votes and achieves the majority of the commission would be the candidate that then would be nominated to be the replacement District 3 County Commissioner.
Okay. I was hoping Jamie would be here to help me with this, but
No. So I think the vote is a selection process, and then the nomination comes after that.
I see.
Yep.
Okay. I guess I'll just, you want to keep track of who votes for who?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. John?
Or are we going to, you're going to state who you're voting for, or are we going to vote for each candidate? Just state who you're voting for?
I think so.
Oh, Mark Uranus.
Dale?
Mark Uranus.
Sean?
Mark Uranus.
I don't have to vote then. I guess I'd call for a nomination then. If
I would nominate Mark Uranus to serve out the remaining term of Ron Dahl as a District 3 County Commissioner.
I think, would you want to put that in the form of a motion, maybe?
Yeah, so moved.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, fellas. Congratulations, Mark. That's all there is to it, isn't it?
Nope, oath of office, and you can be seated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Read and sign.
Yeah.
Oh, you brought your notary stamp
I
with you?
did, so I
All
can
right.
notarize.
You have to pay your dues right away. too.
I suppose. Here. I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of North Dakota, that I hereby faithfully discharge the duties of District.
District 3 County Commissioner.
3?
Yeah. And then you just have to sign and then I'll notarize.
Signature
Yep.
mouse number.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome, Mark.
With this being said, Rondell was the vice chairman. Does he take over that?
I would certainly assume so.
As far as I'm concerned.
And then the rest of the boards that Ron was
Right.
associated with, library.
So I would make a motion that Mark assumes Ron's portfolio and duties as vice chair.
Perfect.
It's been moved by John to have Mark assume Ron's portfolio and the position of vice chairman. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Sean.
Could I have an addition to that motion? That this isn't the best of terms for these things to happen. And we sure hope that Ron has a speedy recovery. And
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Discussion? So you're on, then Ron's is the Historical Society and
Library.
the library. And I believe you're also a member of the Historical Society.
I'm on
Very good.
And then he has the Southeast Regional Council or
South
South
Central.
Central.
Yeah.
I think
I think you took over for that.
but I haven't been to, I've been to one meeting.
I think there was another one. It was South Central Sentinels. Hold on one second.
Ron was routinely chastised for not.
Yeah, I don't think we ever attempted.
There's another southeast one that I'm on that I don't attend to.
It's South Central Community Action Region 6.
Yeah, which never went to it anyway.
Oh, is that the one they had in Jamestown?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dad was on that same
Yeah.
deal.
And come the first of the year, this assignments can
Sure.
change if you want it.
Sure.
You know, so.
They usually don't, but they can.
And Troy usually shows up, so I don't not, so you might have to share a meeting once in a while. He's usually here. So the first time he doesn't show up, we're going to impeach him.
Really?
Hostile takeover.
Promises.
Usually
I
they make
know.
him secretary. I ended up being secretary in a few things like that. We got that under control. So,
These meetings are recorded,
yep.
and then Sam works on the minutes while we're during the meeting, and then she goes and listens to the recording afterwards and gets them tuned up. So we don't have to try to take minutes at the same time. Otherwise, you don't get to participate in the
Yep.
meeting. So, is there any more discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, meeting minutes from October 6th.
There's two of
We'll
them.
do the regular meeting first and then the special meeting for the budget hearing.
Make a motion to approve?
The only thing I can see that on this delinquent tax sale, and you shouldn't end a sentence with a preposition. It says there was discussion on what the commission would like to see the minimum bid set at.
Oh,
Wasn't that discussion having to do with what we would like, that we would like to have the city consider the minimum bids on those properties because some of them are so high that they're never gonna get bid on?
No, we never
No.
got into that. We were just deciding what the minimum bid would be, and we, it was stated that in the past, we'd always used what the delinquent taxes were as the minimum bid,
Plus a year.
plus the 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we never did get into whether or not that property was gonna sell it, what
Okay.
happens if it was too high. That was,
Okay.
think that
I was just trying to
afterwards.
figure out how that should be worded.
Oh, yeah?
It should be, there was discussion on what the commission,
I'm not sure where you're at, what page?
It's on
page
page
4.
Okay. All right.
Or there was discussion on how the minimum bid was calculated or something. It seems to me.
There was discussion to set the minimum bid at the delinquent taxes owing plus 1 year. I think you can,
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
yeah, I think if you remove, so there was
Do you
discussion.
want me just to remove that entire sentence?
Yes.
Because it would be open the floor to discuss the delinquent tax, then your motion is basically what was decided, so maybe I could just get
That's
rid of that
correct.
entire.
That's correct.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? No, is there a second?
I'll second Mark's motion.
Motion been seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next proceedings, that was the budget hearing at 6 o'clock that night, Mark. We just hung around and nobody came to see us. Oh, it was lonesome.
Move to approve the October 6 minutes, but dispense with the reading.
So moved by Sean to approve the second meeting on October 6th and dispense with the reading. Is there a second? Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, take a look at the bills.
Mark, on page 6, then the invoices. Okay, so if you just look at the top, is account number, account name. So the first one is general. It means it's out of the general fund.
Okay.
And it's telephone, general fund, tax director, travel. And those general, the heading of it will correspond to a line item in the budget. So the general fund, of course, will have all the different line items, the auditor, treasurer.
The vendor be up on line 1, so
CAs, county agents.
Okay.
I don't know if
Yeah.
Is there a spot where we show what's left of the
Yep.
budget?
Yeah, over far right.
And that's before these bills are paid.
Okay.
The balance is before these are paid.
Yep. So,
and
correct,
the ones that are highlighted are the ones that are going below 0.
right. Yeah. And you'll get him a copy of the budget.
I got a question on one here. First one, card member services. Tax director travel for $100.
I think that's his classes.
But then if you go down to Griggs County, the 5th vendor on there, it's general tax director travel, $100 again, same balance.
What's left before we approve?
Okay, where?
Okay.
What's that second one?
Okay. So
Yep.
card member services is the
Yep.
first vendor, and then you got tax director travel, $100 there. And if you go down 5 vendors to Griggs County,
Okay.
at the bottom it's listed tax director travel, $100 again with the same balance.
And then if you go down farther yet, at the bottom of the page is tax director travel, $167.40.
Yeah, but the top 2 are exactly the same out of 2 different.
Mm-hmm. But there's 3 tax director travels on his first page.
This one and this one. And this one.
You missed the inauguration.
I heard that already.
And there's 2 different balances. Okay, I see
Yeah,
what you're
but
saying.
the first two are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think those were 2 of his classes. One he paid with his card.
But I mean, the balances are both the same. Those 2 also.
It's 1,900 on both balances.
Yeah, that's the balance
That's
before
'cause
these
it's
are
before
taken
the-
out.
Oh, okay.
They'll both go to 1,700 after she pays the bill.
Mhm, Yep.
International Association.
Uh-oh.
So was that,
Where's that?
well, I'm just looking at the
Oh,
credit
the bill.
card. I'm looking at the credit card bill. But is that some training material, or it doesn't look like travel to me? That's all I'm saying, Sam.
I think what we have in our budgets is like a travel, and that's what we use for any education and stuff like that. Because that's what that line is for. There's no like continuing ed or anything like that in there.
There he is, right there. You can ask
Talking
him.
expenses, if you want me to explain it there, I can talk over what.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What's SOTEL?
That's our phone system.
We don't own it.
It's like this new system that Travis got us on to get us so that we're all like in interactive or something, so I can transfer phone calls from one office to another. And he's getting us away from the phone company here. But we're like gradually doing that.
I don't know.
We got a new phone system that now I can transfer to like Connie's office if somebody calls me. So we're all
Yeah, that's
interactive
got
or
nothing to
whatever.
do with the phone company, though.
Well, then we're supposed to be getting like just one number from the phone company, and then it would basically when you call, it would say press 1 for the auditor's office, press 2 for the treasurer's office.
You're not going to do that.
But
are
they're
you?
not. We're not there yet. So this is just like
I don't think we should ever get there.
okay. Well, that's what we're. This hotel is.
This
so-
building isn't that populated. I don't. I think people deserve to talk to a human when they call here, don't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, but this hotel is like the interactive part of it, like to transfer from one place to another.
That
So
should
that
just be part of the system. I mean,
we didn't have that over there. We had,
no. I'm not. I've had phone systems in every business that I worked at. You buy the phone system, you own the phone system, you can transfer calls within the building. You don't need a monthly charge. I don't get what we're doing here.
okay.
Somebody kind of explain it to me someday.
Okay.
We're not gonna have a recording, though, right?
Huh.
We're not gonna have a recording when someone to answer the phone. We're not gonna have a virtual.
It's not there.
Receptionist.
We're not there.
We're not going there.
Well, I don't think we could go there without your guys' permission, could we? I don't think so. So we would then bring
We
it.
don't know.
It seems like we go a lot of places and have to retreat. It's easier
Well,
to
right
stop.
now it's just one, or like you call the one number and I can transfer to Connie, and that's what switched is the Sotel stuff. So
We're better than the old courthouse. We just yell down the hall, pick up the phone. So, I think,
Okay, back to the.
yeah.
So, David, what's the? I was just looking at the credit card, this $100 on it, is that some kind of training material or something?
There's 5 classes, online self-studies that are through
Okay.
IAA. And then that are regular, that are $125.
Okay.
I got the year-long membership because there's 5 classes you have to take. They're $125 each. If you have the membership, it's $100 each. So that's
You saved 25 bucks?
$125 that you're saving, and you're paying $87.50. I know it's not a lot to save, but I'm
I get it.
saving some money through getting
So,
them.
but
And then
there's no line item in the budget for that material? That's
there's
why it
no-
ended
there's
up in
no
the...
From what I looked at
No, there isn't.
previous budgets, that there
Okay.
was something from training
Okay.
an account, but there's nothing for 2017 that's in the budget for training, so
Okay.
I just put it in the travel. So that's
Yeah, there's
There's no
$2,500 in it. Actually, it is training, it's travel/training,
Okay.
or, excuse me, travel/training, yeah. So there's
Yeah.
$2,500 there in
Okay.
the budget, and we just combined it.
That's what I kind of figured
The
it
prior
was,
years,
but
yeah.
I couldn't glean it out of the...
So
maybe
the $200 were 2 separate,
Yep.
yeah. There's 5
correct?
classes,
And you've
I've,
taken 2, or you
I
paid
finished
for
3
2.
of them.
Okay.
So I think the latest voucher has been submitted through 3 of them. There'll be a 4th one that I just use the county credit card now, but it won't show up until the
Sure.
October cycle. And then there's a 5th one that I'll have 4 of them done by the time there's the November seminar in Bismarck.
And that one you have to go to, kind of.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's that week. It's a whole week long, from like 8:30 till 5:30 at night.
Oh, that sounds fun.
So fun stuff. And then actually, one thing I was wondering.
You must be serious about getting this stuff done, huh?
Well, I'm going to. Otherwise, next year is going to be a mess for the assessment. I've been trying to coordinate with different reached out to the township chairman to try and see who they have as their assessors for next year. Because right now there's only Farah to do the assessing for all that. Well, or that is the only person certified within the county.
Right.
So there's a few. As Dale let me know, Marlin will do Greenfield and Broadview, so that's taken care of. But waiting to hear back from the majority of the township chairman on who they plan to have as their.
But there isn't a lot to do. It's just new properties.
Yeah, knowing like kind of what's going on, and if I have this class in November, then I'll have class 2 assessorship certified. So then I could, if I was talking with Linda, she said if townships who did have an assessor that their certification expired, they can still serve as data collectors, and they can still do most of the work that the
groundwork.
township will need.
And
But
you
then
just
they'll-
have to
And
sign
then I
off
could
on
sign
it.
off on what the delegates.
That's kind of what I was thinking. This thing was going to end up kind of be a 2-tiered system when we're done.
Hopefully, and we'll have to see. But I sent out a letter to township chairman at the beginning of the month, or at the end of last month, and then if I haven't heard from
So
them.
they will hire you, or they will pay the county, or how do you?
Well, still, we have to see what the township chairman
What they
plan to do.
Sure. Okay.
I said either because at that time when I sent out the letter, I thought maybe if there's assessors from outside the county that can just for this next year, because I wasn't sure whether I'd have the certification to be able to do it. So maybe we can try and find someone that's just outside the county, in the neighboring county, that can do it for next year.
Right.
So we'll see. Maybe at the end of the month, if I haven't heard from the chairman, then I'll give them a direct call and find out, because I don't want it to be December and not know what we're doing.
Again, over the last 4 or 5 years, a lot of townships don't have any new assessing to do. I mean, there just isn't a lot going on.
Only time there is anything is if it's a change in classification. Say somebody that
Yep.
isn't a farmer comes in and buys a farmstead or something
Right.
like that, kind of a deal. That's the
So it isn't as complex, nor personally would I want to see it as complex as the state wants it to be. Because all it does is add expense to the taxpayers of Griggs County and creates problems for the taxpayers of Griggs County. So we're trying, in my understanding of it, and as a commissioner, the way I would like to see it run is minimal. Do what has to be done to obey the letter of the law and nothing else. I mean, going out and reassessing properties for the sake of reassessing properties doesn't do anybody any good. And unfortunately, the state is in a position where, whether they're willing to admit it or not, a higher value property benefits the state, because there are some mill levies that are set mill levies, and the commission doesn't have any control over them. And there's some mill levies that some of the boards are willing to use the full mill levy to their benefit. So anytime you assess property at a higher value, you are costing the taxpayers, or putting the taxpayers of Griggs County at risk for higher taxes. The state will argue otherwise. They'll say the boards that are in charge have the ability to
Lower the mills.
but that is not the case.
Not all of them.
No.
We don't control the schools, we don't control the health systems, we don't control the library, we don't control the one mill goes to the state, one mill goes to the Garrison Diversion Conservancy District, and we can't fix that. If we push our evaluations up, everybody's taxes go up, and the commissioners can't fix it, because the assessing districts within the county tell the treasurer collects the taxes for them, but we can't tell them that they can't have that much. For instance, in the last 10 years, the valuation of Griggs County has doubled because of the state's pushing up the agricultural values. The county did a reassessment in 2011, I think it was. So I'll just use the hospital for an example because it's easy. They take 10 mills. Well, they were getting $97,000 in 2008. Now they're getting $197,000 or something. So it makes a huge difference in the amount of taxes that the treasurer has to collect and the amount of money that's spent by those taxing entities if they don't lower the number of mills that they ask for. But we can't make them do that.
And if you put that tax increase, that 100% tax increase alongside the usable income, it's very disproportionate. So the tax has went up 100%. The usable income, depending on what group you're looking at, has either stayed the same or went down. And so to have these values keep bumping up, it's a two-edged sword. And me, I can't speak for the rest of them, I don't believe that it's the county's job to keep pushing up valuations for the sake of the state. The state doesn't have any right constitutionally to be even involved in property taxes. The ability to levy property taxes stops at the county level. The state sticks their nose in there because they want to make the rules. They want to be able to control the valuations of the counties because it makes their bottom line look better. So if the overall value of the state can be higher, that gives the state the ability to levy more money and to borrow more money. It's just like your balance sheet. If you're worth more money, you can go into the bank and borrow more money. That's exactly what's happening here. And so the training you're going to, I don't classify it as training. And they're using sleep deprivation. They always do that for indoctrination.
We're talking about the bills here.
Well, he brought it up, and that was a bill. So anyway.
No, you're indoctrinating.
I know. I think that's we're supposed to be the ones that appoint you.
I know.
It is about the bills. Be careful when you are spending money that you're not joining organizations that have no need to be joined, because they will do that to you. And as a group, we haven't been allowing the different entities to join organizations that benefit the entity, tax directors, auditors, that kind of thing. So for training, it's fine, but to be a member of the whatever their club is probably not in the budget.
Well, the IAAO one, that was just cost saving measure.
I know.
We can talk about it again next year's budget.
Yeah, and I'm a member of that. I'm a member of that also. I did the same thing.
Going back to the 2018 assessment, I guess we'll see what your guys' thoughts on how we want to decide it. That previously, with most of the majority of the townships having their own assessors, that I don't know what the arrangements were there, that they hired assessor for such and such a fee.
Well, see, these new rules didn't take effect until July, David. That's why those old assessors that have been township assessors for 37 years, they could still do it for last year.
Okay.
It's just going forward that they have an issue.
So for going forward, I want to bring up for the commission that now for 2018 that counties do have the right, they don't have to, but they do have the right, they can charge if townships are having their assessing done by the county or having me as their assessor.
Right.
As the county has a right to charge the townships.
That's correct.
For the townships for that service.
Yep.
And so that's something just to be, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, and it doesn't have to be decided right away.
Right.
But just for 2018, if say, I don't know exactly how many there will be, but say if there's 10 townships that will be having me officially as a assessor, what sort of charge?
So,
That's always been that.
There are two schools of thought on that. We can do it under the county's umbrella, and the county builds a township or whatever, or you can do it as a level 2 assessor and individually and just bill them for your time or whatever. So we probably need to have that discussion at some point.
Yeah.
But you think that through, because I'm assuming this is the first time that you've had that discussion with us. So there's two ways to go on that, and I don't know that I feel strongly either way.
So there was.
So just to clarify that, that's under 1110.105, paragraph 4. Any city or township that does not retain a certified class 1 or class 2 assessor shall utilize the certified assessor of the county in which the city or township is located. The county commission may require the city or township to reimburse the county for the expenses incurred in assessing the property that the city or township may have assessed.
Right. So you can work for this county doing that, or for the township.
Okay.
And I guess from your standpoint, if you visit with the townships, you probably want to do it one way or the other for everybody. You don't want to have the checkerboard.
Yeah.
So I would say that that's a good thing for you to follow up on.
Okay.
I think the one we use in Cooperstown Township is also certified, Tasha.
Tasha Kruger, yeah. And is she in Finley?
She lives in Bahope.
Okay.
So she works as a nurse up here at the
Okay.
hospital and that sort of thing.
It would be a good sideline business to do it
Yeah,
individually for the townships.
that's what I've kind of mentioned to her, that if I'm sure if she wanted to do more, she could.
Kruger?
Kruger. Brandon Kruger, he sells Pioneer Seed. And
Okay, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, should we have anything more? But thank you guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you.
I don't know if there should be a list, these two names on, so if at least the townships have an idea of who's available. Because that date comes up on us quicker than,
How expensive does that get for your township?
it was like $600.
Okay. I didn't know, when this thing first came out, I thought, okay, now these poor townships are gonna get a $1,500 bill and they got a $9,500 budget. That's not gonna be so good.
When it first came in, the soils, that was a big deal, because, there was all the modifiers
Yep.
and that sort of thing. So
That kind of slowed down now, though. I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of done now.
And the assessments in these townships, when there's so few residences, shouldn't
Oh.
really be that big a deal.
No, it's
There's not
the
that much
property.
change. There's a few reclassifications, but I think there's 3 of them in our township this year, Rick Selvison built a house, Mark Martin's retired, now he's a farmer, and there was one other thing.
We have one that requested a reassessment.
Oh.
We have to go through that sort of a deal. But they also wanted all their neighbors to be reassessed, and I said, that's not our issue. I said, so if,
That's an equalization issue.
yeah,
They need to come to the equalization meeting.
well, and that starts at the township level too.
It does. That's where it should end too.
And
I hope.
that's kind of where it does.
I mean, that's how our feeling anyways.
Yeah. But for us, it wasn't ever too big a deal, that assessment thing.
Very good. Anything else on the bills? Sidetrackers.
Move to approve the bills as presented.
Been moved by Sean to approve the bills as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
Right, second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John? Aye. Dale? Aye. Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Harold? We don't mess around anymore.
Yeah, I tell you, I've had a couple meetings. I always go short, so I want to be early just in case you guys didn't want to buzz through it.
So, I was reading this thing, or reading through it here. Now, do you ever look at this is not really related to our books.
Yep.
North Dakota PERS. You ever look at that?
As in what context?
Their actuarial assumption for return on investments, net return is 8%. Last year they returned 0.39.
That does
That doesn't look very good for the future of the taxpayers of North Dakota.
No. You know, you want to talk about, I mean, one bad thing about accounting or audits or whatever kind of valuations. First, you have fixed assets because it's a moving target. But the second one is anytime you go past tomorrow, and you can make it either look good or bad. And you know, TFFR took a very aggressive approach to scare people. They have this huge unfunded deficit.
Who?
So TFFR did. You know, if you look at the
Oh.
retirements, TFFR took the approach of we're going to scare everybody to give us more money. So they just created this huge actuarial deficit. So you know, PERS, because it's a state, they don't want to kick any more than they have to. So kind of like you're trying to double your soils and all the valuation assessments, they're going, TFFR goes, assess all the returns horrible, so we have to bring in more money. TFFR says, you guys, we're not going to pay more money because the state right now is almost 60% of PERS. So whatever the state wants in PERS, the state gets. TFFR, there's no school above 10%. So sometimes when you look at a whole deal, you're right with PERS, that whole process is what you want it to be. And it's pathetic because
But there's got to be a huge unfunded liability going forward. If you're projecting an 8% return and you're getting 0.3, you're not keeping up.
No,
I just happened to go to the North Dakota PERS year-end report after I was reading in here because I looked at those actuarial assumptions and I said, I wonder, who in the heck's getting 8% return today? Well, I am not on anything I have, and neither is the state.
you know, and they can make up again because they'll go back to the past.
Well, the rates are going to have to go up going forward, is all I'm saying, Harold.
Yeah.
Because we're going to get to that date tomorrow, or 10 years from now, and they're not going to have any money.
Yeah.
And then their actuarial calculations are going to say we need 26%, not 15%.
That's what TFFR did. And see, TFFR did that, and right now
The teachers' retirement costs like 24% right
24 and a
now.
half. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Holy Toledo.
Yeah, but that's what they did. That's how, when they scared them, you know, and the other thing teachers' retirement did twice is they raised the factor for retirement pay. PERS did. And that's one reason why PERS is lower, but again, that's because the state said we're not going to do that.
So their retirement benefit is over 50% or 66% or whatever.
For TFFR?
Yeah. If you get to the Rule 85, what's your income? Is it 100% of your
It's
of your high five or what?
2% for every year. So most of them aren't 100%. It's usually like 85 to 90.
Of your high five or something. That's a gross retirement program.
Like I say, that's part when teachers talk about being underpaid, they always go, no, don't talk about that. And you go, yeah, we need to talk about that.
Well, the reason I bring it up during this discussion is we should talk about it too.
Well,
I mean, a retirement to me, from an employer standpoint, and I didn't have any problem kicking in, like we're kicking in all of it now. We used the employee used to put in 7,
Yep.
county used to put in 7. For some reason, sometime in the past, the commission decided they'd pay it all. Now you have a huge risk when you have a defined benefit plan that's going to have an unfunded liability going down the road.
Because you look at every other state blinked, like New Jersey started it, and all those states that had the same issue, unfunded, cut the benefit.
So they went to a defined contribution instead of a defined benefit.
Well, they reduced the actual benefit, so they just said so instead of getting like 2% for every deal, they would cut it to like 1.5 or 1. So I think they still they're hybrid in it, but North Dakota doubled down. North Dakota is one of the few states that actually increased the cost or contribution rates. Every other state said we are not going to make people pay more. When we look at the 2 alternatives we got, we're going to pay you less. So if you thought you had this sweet retirement deal, it's going to be maybe not bitter, but it's not going to be sweet. And they tried to pick that. Whereas North Dakota, it's a heck of a deal. From a perspective of retention.
Unless you're a taxpayer.
Yeah, for sure. But if you look at from retention between health and retirement, you can sit there and complain about your salary all you want. You're going, but over here, oh yeah, that's right. You're sitting pretty good with the plan you got, and they're going to reach a point again where they're going to come up a legislative session and talk about it. And that's where the commissioners and city councils have to say, no, we're not going to pay more. If there's a problem, it's the benefit side you're going to attack, not the contribution side, because we're not going to do that. And
Or we can say any future hires there's going to be a 401k here, and we'll put in 5, and if we'll put in 3 and match to 5 if the employee puts in 5. That's what we do at the bank.
That's right, and that's the part where
it's not that's what my boss does at his bank.
Yep. No, that's what they got to decide with whole retirement, because again, they play with numbers all they want.
Right.
And they were teacher retirement actually, even though they overpaid as much, they're still considered underfunded. So if you look at their site,
I was also looking in a financial report from a couple years ago. Did the legislature kick some money in there from the legacy fund? There was some kind of I didn't get a chance. I didn't have time to read it.
I think it was just extra oil money. I think they bought.
So they injected some money into the retirement outside of the.
Yeah.
Nice.
In addition to. But again, because that's what
it wasn't legacy fund. It was just oil revenue.
It's just oil money.
Okay. So they propped it up.
They propped it up. They bought time. Yep.
So
instead of going to everybody and raising everybody's going like
didn't go back to the real estate taxes, but they went and stole it from somebody else.
Absolutely.
I see.
Yeah, because if you look at how they had to cut this year and not have money this year, part of it's because the carryover was cut because they put it into their retirement.
Well, before they had the oil, it all went to real estate. So.
No.
And that just.
No, I know. I'm just. If we're going to do the right thing, we need to try to do the right thing.
At least talk about it. I mean, the thing is, they kind of poo-pooed it like they didn't do anything, but they did that. And that's the part where you go, hey, if you want to...
Somebody made them put it in that annual report, otherwise I wouldn't have read it.
That's right. And they preferred that nobody read it. That's what they're open for. They're going, okay, let's get them lost on page 2 or 3, they start snoozing, and then they're going to quit. So we'll have all the need on page 20. Yeah, there is a great risk out there that nobody wants to talk about in retirement, because North Dakota is still trying to use that as a nice benefit, and that's becoming very
Okay, I'm sorry.
But again, financially, you guys have been keeping your financial house in order, going forward a little bit. And again, I think that's part where every time you talk about the balance of things is you don't want to go backwards, but you don't necessarily need to make a bunch of money. you've got a decent reserve, so a status quo, if you can maintain status quo, is a good thing. So, you know, when you look at the balances, I mean, the general fund is sitting well, again, we talked about that last time, because again, part of it is the consolidation process, so it's just kind of, you know, page 4 just kind of splits the money up, and then on page 6 is the money from by fund typing in general fund having about a third of your money is sitting in general fund, and the highway fund's got a big chunk of it also, so surpluses this year were not huge, which again, they shouldn't have been. You ended up net 90 in total. General fund again did better. If on page 8 you look at that. So again, I think when you look at stuff, and then the other part that is not shown here is as a budgetaholic. I mean, you guys have done a very good job of managing what you say you're going to do. And I think the process when you talk about that, and every time when you look at the bill list, this part, you know, again, some things you always take for granted, but again, because I believe it's strong in budgeting, most people just do it to get it done with. And you know, it's interesting now with the laws changing to have the budget done in May. Most places are going to say we don't care because we really don't use the budget as a management tool. You guys truly do, and because of that, I mean, I tell you, I think that's why you see yourself being able to control revenue increases and not having to having expenses go to control. I think from all those perspectives, the biggest number you guys always come back down to is that reserve balance that you need to have, and how much should it be? And that number, that whole process, there's not a magical thing that can give you anywhere you want. So anything you want it to be, it can be. You can be either super aggressive and try to build a bunch of money. Very tough to do that anymore. Or you can just try to maintain, or you can try to gut it. I mean, it's really where, from the perspective, whatever you guys want to accomplish. But, you know,
On page 3, explain other matters to me. I don't get it.
okay, as far as, and we talked about this in the past, you can do a propaganda sheet, but technically you guys would have to prepare it, and what you do is, you know, you think about it like a business report, you know, and the president says, we had a great year, everything was great and rosy and all this other stuff. You can, that's called the management discussion and analysis, and in the past you guys have chosen not to do that. That'd be actually a job of Samantha, and she would go through the financial highlights, and on the budget, whether you want to include it or not in a formal capacity. And again, that's all those things to say is you can either include those, they encourage it, again, if it's relevant, and you want to accomplish something through that, just be your voice to say, we want to verbalize your numbers to a certain degree. So I mean, if you guys wanted to do that, you can do that. But
What would be an example of that?
usually what you kind of talk about how you had a net increase of assets of 90,000.
I did it every year when I was managing the co-op.
Yeah.
You put an article in the magazine or whatever in January after the books got closed, and just go through the year. This is what we did. This is where the money went. We borrowed some money to build this line or upgrade that one. Our net income was this and whatever.
And then you would expand if you want to do the future, saying right now it's a rocky time ahead because oil money busted, so the state's been cutting this for the last 2 years, and because of that, we have two choices: either to increase taxes or to cut services and expenses or whatever. So I mean,
I'm not so sure that the citizens of Griggs County want to endure my.
I don't
think so.
But,
Again,
Go ahead.
but that should not be a part of the audit. An audit has to be strictly based on hard numbers. An audit can't be opinion.
that's right.
So this other matters part, that can't be part of this audit, nor should it be.
So that's what,
The audit, same with the opinion. I mean, none of that should be part of an audit. The audit has to be based on, here's the basis I use for the audit, here's the parameters I use, and here's the facts.
Yep.
So, I understand what this other matters is, but that's not part of an audit, and it shouldn't be in there because it's expressing someone's opinion and not a fact.
and unfortunately, I have no choice but to put that in there, John, because if I don't, they ought to be rejected. I have to acknowledge the fact that you're not putting it in.
I mean, I don't care. I just wondered what the definition of it was.
But then that's one reason why it's not in there is because just like you're talking about, John, is you're going. So you can basically try to totally contradict every fact in the audit. Well, you know, they say that, but that's a lie. And they said this, and that's a lie. And we need to put this number down, but that's wrong. So you go, okay, so I got this management discussion that says this whole audit report is bogus. Do I believe the management discussion, or do I believe the audit? But there was a purpose of, again, when you get, unfortunately, the accounting profession has talked about how we need to expand and get more transparency, and they felt that would be transparency. I'm not a big fan of doing it, that's why I don't push it. And if you don't want it, it doesn't bother me at all, because the reason you talk about it, I cannot verify your opinion. I can't verify it, and I can't audit an opinion. I don't agree with your opinion, so therefore I can give you a disclaimer.
So it appears like you treated the courthouse, the lease payment as a true lease, and we're not, and no equity coming back in as a result of the lease payment.
As of right now.
Well, I mean, that is, I believe, the correct way to do it, because there's no binding contract that says that it has to be sold. It can be.
But it came from here.
Now see what, and again, if the commission flipped its philosophy and said, we want to buy it, then we would change it. You made the motion not to, if a future commission said, we want to buy it, and we want you to show it as we're going to buy it, and we're going to make an obligation to do that.
The only commission that can do that is the commission that's in place 17 years from now. We can't do that now. We can't go forward with it.
Right. So, but I mean, this is a deal when you talk about that, and you're like, the other thing you might put on, like in your, nothing's been talked about the old courthouse. It's technically depreciated out anyway, so it's not like it's at risk. So again, that'd be the only thing financially to meet the courthouse, because if you were to tear it down, for example, you're talking about doing that. So, but on the books, it's not worth anything. So there's no discussion of impaired value for a fixed asset, because it's not on the books at a value. So. And I know you talked about whether you want to move the money out of the general fund, and that's something where I've had other places talk about that. At this point in time, it's still staying in the general fund to go into next year, 100%. And nothing has been changed in that. So, balances agree with what Connie and Sam had. Did not change any numbers. And again, you combined all your highway funds now, so that'll be going forward. I think that really makes sense, because otherwise, when you pick and choose anyway, arbitrarily to some degree, which fund's going to pay for it, when in the end it's going to pay for it.
Right. So in your travels, when's the 125 mils going to end from the state?
They're really good.
Next summer?
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think there's really going to be. I think on the valuation, because we're honest, then we're back to the reverse discussion that you guys are having. Is you can in theory lower mill levies when valuations go up. Are they going to now say we're going to remove mill levy caps when the valuation goes down?
They'll have to.
Otherwise
the schools won't survive with the 75 mil levy cap, and they take away. Say it goes back to what it was 8 years ago, 20 mils instead of 125.
Yep. No, and actually, if you remember right in the 90s, when valuations were flat or going down, they removed the cap in the capacity of you could increase dollar amounts, not mill levy, by 3% if you wanted to. And then you would exceed, because like at that time cities had mill levies of 40 was their cap. There were cities at 85 mills because their valuation kept going down, and they let them raise the dollars regardless of mills. So nowadays, and now they switched now with cities to put them on that cap again, we'll see if they hold it or not, because the same thing will happen. But I tell you, it's.
I haven't done the math on our mill sheet.
Hmm?
I haven't done the math on our mill sheet, what the total taxable value of all the school districts within the county are. But if that 125 million, or 125 mills goes away, that the state's kicking in today, our levy is gonna go up $2 million or something. I mean, it's a big number.
It is.
It's bigger than that, maybe. I didn't, is it, did you do the math?
Yeah, I mean, just roughly, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's,
What are they milling, what's the school levy at now? Aren't they at like 120 or 110?
No.
no, technically the general fund's at 60, it used to be 185, so that's 125 is what it's talking about.
Yep.
They lowered it.
So right now,
So you can, but they allowed, you can go up to 70,
72.
and then you can have 12 miscellaneous levy, and then you can have a special reserve levy,
And a
and then
building
if you,
fund, and a building fund levy.
yeah, and actually there's,
Yeah.
the black hole they have is called a tuition levy. So if you are a school district that has to pay tuition in another school district, Kent's will be an example of that. But if they, because they don't have a, technically they're high school now, it's gone, and they're attending their teaching before. So they can be billed from tuition, that levy is unlimited.
so right now,
There's a bunch of black holes.
the school levy for the Griggs County Central is 92.2 mils.
Yep.
The state,
Which includes the bond.
the state is kicking in 125.
Yeah.
Why I said it's not easy to pull off this page without doing some more calculations is because if you look at the total school district is the Barnes County Central is $13,900,000. Some of that's in Steele County, and it doesn't all come from our taxpayers, and then we have other school districts. So you would have to go through each township and calculate 125 mils. But all I'm saying, it's going to cost, it's going to increase our mill levy by $2.5–3 million,
Well, if they're,
unless the schools can live on less money.
if they're at 98 mills now, it's gonna more than double.
I'm just talking about the
Yeah.
overall tax
Yeah.
levy.
No, there's scary things out there financially.
It's like this year, the state took away the 12.5%,
Yep.
and then they took over social services. But social services was 8% of our budget. They took the 12.5% reduction away, so that costed us 4.5% on our overall budget.
Well, the overall county entities budget, the schools, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other problem you're gonna have is they haven't really decided what they're gonna pay for social service yet.
Yeah, they have.
Well, I think they're still tweaking at the state level, where what they're gonna consider a normal cost. I think it's gonna morph into just like extension in the courts, where they're gonna decide what a reasonable cost of reimbursement is for each county. And if all of a sudden you're just too expensive, you might not get totally reimbursed for social services.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that formula is already out there.
Oh, so they just took over they just reimbursed us for the financial side of it. They didn't take over one committee for social services across the whole state.
No.
They used the 2014 budget. They froze that and
Then
didn't
they
allow
used the
them-
caseload for 2016, and the average cost
Yeah.
per case of 2015 pulled that number forward into this 18, and that's what. Our social services budget this year is like 400,000 or 405. Our reimbursement going in 18 is going to be like 308.
They used the 2014 budget, applied a zero net sum increase to 15 and 16, so they gave them a 3-year average, but it's all 14 because they didn't allow any increases. And then they used that for the reimbursement.
So then we combined our social services with Nelson County and hired a joint director and a joint welfare worker. So the combined offices are going to be able to live within what the state's going to give us. If we wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't have.
Sure.
We would have
Sure.
either had to provide less services, or the state, they're so benevolent that they gave us the ability to levy general taxes to make up the shortfall if there was one. But we didn't want to do that.
Handed us a stick instead of them using it in the taxpayers.
The risk you're on is just like a school's cost per student, you have cost per caseload, and they're gonna say, we're just not gonna reimburse you because your caseload costs too high because you're inefficient.
Yep.
For whatever term they want to use. And the big four counties are so much better, so they're gonna get all more money, so they're basically gonna balance their budget off of you. The other thing, when you look at school districts, it makes it really tough with state funding is they built 60 mils into the formula. So the state also has, you know, with that, John, too, is a very strong incentive to keep valuations going up, because every time the valuation goes up, the payments they have to make to schools goes down. So the valuation would go down, they have to increase their payments to the schools, and that would then basically cause a huge implosion where they're going to make a decision, because that fund they set up for the school stabilization, I don't think it's going to survive a couple more years at this level.
Right. And then as the value of the state goes up, the state's ability to bond
Goes up with it.
It goes up with it. And,
On
and
paper,
that's-
on paper. That's
Well,
right.
not on
That's
paper,
right.
in
No,
actuality.
you're right, and that's what I say, everything's on paper, but they can implement it, that's right. So.
Does anybody else have any questions for Harold? Or Harold, you got any more good news?
Like I said, I think the fact is, and actually I forget to run up, I think what I'll do for Sam is, I remember you looked at that last report, and when I look at that comparison stuff. And again, that's where, when I look at how things are setting up, you have built a financial house that has sustainability. And you've made tough choices to get that. So by doing that, I think that's the part where, you have now talked the talk, you guys have walked the walk. And I think really from the perspective, that's why when you see these things going forward and the general fund balance where it's at, you guys have accomplished what you said you're gonna do. And from that perspective, I gotta tell you, I'm impressed with the ability to actually follow through on what you said you're gonna do. And that's nice, and it's showing up in the financial statements. So from a financial point of view, you guys have got the county in great shape. You're down to that one note, and you're gonna be done. And
What's that?
you get that just one note left and one bank note left. When you get past that, then you can avoid doing that in the future. That'd be good. That'd be good. So, like I said, from there, your financial markers, again, you've done everything you guys can do here. And you're always still, to some degree, at the whims of the state, how they fund and what they require you to do. They can also blow you up. And one of the things that, as you're out there at risk at it, and then that's why I mentioned it, is the pension side. Because again, you look at schools, they went from 15 to 25. Boom. They went 2% a year for 2 years. Actually, it went 4% a year for 2 years, 3 years.
And the teachers requested that.
They did. They absolutely did, because they said we're willing to, and of course, same thing here. Where when you pay both sides, then they definitely request is like, let's see, you're going to raise it 8%. My out of pocket is 0. Yeah, raise it 8%. And that was the part where they did a great job, and there's still a mindset that teachers right now are underpaid, and almost on any side now, their salaries have been raised enough, and you throw in health and you throw in TFFR, you go, man, you guys better keep your head down when you talk about being underpaid, because you have lost every, because you go back to the 90s and they got nothing. They were getting, you were getting like $18,000 as a starting salary, rotten pension. You could say, yeah. Now you're going, that environment doesn't exist anymore.
So on page 26, under pension and expense related to pensions, yeah. You use that 8% return on investment rate to offset the salary increases and the inflation.
That's their calculation.
I know.
Yep, you're right.
That's right out of their annual report, John.
I know.
No, but when you look at the credibility of that number system, you're right. And you can see a direct correlation. That's how they got through, that's how they made it work.
So my point is, this is our audit, do you have to use
Their language?
their language? Because if you did use their language and you took away that 8% and used a figure that was more reasonable, then it would be reflective of, this audit, of this.
No, I can't, I give you their numbers. You're right, I agree. What they put in there for a footnote now is bad and misleading. I won't argue that a bit. And they just said, you don't do it, we kick your report out.
So by doing that, it gives a rosy outlook to the overall financial health of Griggs County, when in essence, we're using numbers just like the state has done now. In order to balance their budget, they use projections for the oil way above what the oil is actually producing. So come July.
Here's a page out of the North Dakota PERS annual report.
Yes, you're right. No, you're right.
So come July, they're gonna have to go through and redo the budget because it's short.
That's right.
Return on investment. There was 0.39 this year and like 0.36 last year or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And their actuarial calculation is still at 8%.
But that's my point.
There's
So
no possible way to fund
we're
this.
accepting an audit that is non-factual.
No, that's factual. That's their actuarial assumption.
Their actuaries, the actuary will stand behind that stuff, and you go, all right. But that's a part word. I mean, and unfortunately, they shop around so they can find something. Teacher Timer did that a few years back. They had a guy they disagreed with. Next thing you know, new actuary. Also the numbers? How about that? Lined up with the bill they wanted.
Well, didn't they request to the state that they were gonna do their own investing because it wasn't creating enough money in about '08 or something like that?
There was discussion. I don't know how serious it was.
I think they pulled out, and then everything collapsed, and then they asked the state to reimburse their losses and go back in again. I think that's kind of how it all went together.
I'm not totally sure about that, but it might be something.
Anyway, doesn't matter. All I'm saying, I think in future budgets, we're gonna have to talk about future hires. And I know, like, I used to work at Nodak Electric, and we had a defined benefit, and at some point in time, the management and the board changed that, so all future hires were in strictly a defined contribution program. It does two things in my mind. Number one, these defined benefit programs, if you happen to want to switch careers after 15 years, they're really brutal if you get out early.
Yeah, they are.
Because I did that. I got out early out of the utility business. And if you have a defined contribution, it's always in your name. If you go, it's portable, you can bring it to a different qualifying plan. They're so much more user-friendly for young people that may not work at the same place for 35 years like they used to. I'm a big fan of having more of a 401k as a retirement instead of these defined benefits.
Right. That is something that's actually, when you look at those things, what the state has out there, to what they pay you and what they ask you for, unfortunately, they're not going to listen to you. Like I said, PERS is it is truly a state plan, and they let everyone come in, and then you come in our rules.
Right.
And you take our numbers, and I don't care if you know where the bogus ones and stuff are there. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thanks, Harold.
Thank you.
I think we just need a motion to approve this.
Do we?
I think that's what you guys need.
Motion to approve the audit?
That's a move.
Moved by Mark to approve the audit. Is there a second? Second by Sean. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Water Board. Page 43. notice that.
What's
have an engineer's name
Didn't know he was an employee.
I'll make a motion, we accept the resignation.
Been moved by John to accept the resignation of each of the water board members. Is there a second? Seconded by Dale. Was there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I just noticed that there's a engineer on the letterhead. I don't know why that is.
And I think they're missing Jim Retzoff on the top too.
Yeah,
Oh,
He was an alternate.
Is that
he was
one?
an alternate, and as you read the language for the water board in the century, he was supposed to be appointed on a meeting by meeting basis, as needed. So,
okay. Anyway, so since we knew this was going to happen, I have kind of been calling around because I would like this thing to continue without too big of a hiccup. Fred Lukens has agreed to sit on the water board. You guys know Fred?
No.
Yeah. I don't think you know the name, but I know who he is. About 6'9".
Oh.
He played basketball at UND.
Okay.
He farms south of Veneta.
Yeah.
So you think Griggs County?
He is.
Oh.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think we need to deal with the composition of the board first,
Okay.
before we move forward.
Got a motion?
I would make a motion that we set the number of members for the water board at 3 board members going forward.
Been moved by John to set the water board number of members to 3 going forward. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by
I believe they're
Dale.
referred to as managers, I guess, when we say that.
Water district managers.
There you go. Yep. Correct, Amy?
Is there any discussion?
That's what it was prior, right? I mean, this 5 members just developed.
Just in the last 7, 8, 9 years? No. Is there any discussion why or why not we should do that?
Well, I think that from a cost savings point of view, I think it's advantageous. We have that much less salary, we have that much less meeting cost. I mean, I think going forward, and I think going forward, if it won't work with 3 members, then whoever the new water board is can bring it to our attention and it could be boosted up again. But I think being we're starting fresh, I think we should start at the lowest common denominator and see how that works.
I don't know if Jamie could answer this, but on the water board, they kind of take over, they're also in charge, it seems like, all the small water districts too, that are illegal drains and that sort of thing.
Right.
Do they have to be that way? I don't believe they do.
As far as the legal drains,
I
the
think-
cess drains, they're, I believe all the cess drains and all legal drains are to assess for downstream water.
Yeah,
Like
yes.
you can-
They are.
You don't have, as far as a private drain or
But no, on a legal drain, I think that legal drain can form its own entity.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
It is its own entity. The
The water board is just there to
just-
facilitate.
for the permit process. It's not,
Yeah,
the
but I
water,
mean-
the water board doesn't control or operate that legal drain. It's its own taxing entity.
But I think right now they are.
correct.
That's why there's a letter in the board packet today.
Okay.
So the water board has to be involved in the
Up front,
up front
Organization.
forming the assessed drain.
Right, after that, the water board doesn't.
But there can be a board for that assessed drain.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So I believe maybe the
The
assessed
original
drain.
petition, the permitting process, that goes to the water board.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, they're the local arm of the State Water Commission,
Right.
basically, is what they are.
Correct. And their job is nothing more than administration
Mhm.
and a conduit for any state or federal funds coming into the project. Once that's done, that assessed drain can be a separate board completely because it has its own levy and it has its own own rules to live by. But it hasn't been done that way. But it could be done that way. Did we have a second on
Dale seconded the
Dale
motion.
did?
Is there any further discussion?
Do we know how much these assessed drains, what's still against them, or anything like that, as commissioners? Do we know
Yes, we do.
what's owed? So the city drain around town, what's owed?
Yes.
Is that all in here somewhere too?
If no, you'll be provided. That's been an ongoing
Struggle.
struggle for the last 6 months.
To try to get the information?
They gave us the information and yeah. So,
Okay.
but it's all that's all out there now. That will be the job of the new water board to make sense and adapt their policy to how they want to deal with these assessed drains and the function of the water board in general. The county commission can't have any. They can't be on the water board. They can't be members. So all we can do is appoint members and make sure that the policy of the Century Code is carried out, and only from a financial purpose. We can require financial statements, we can require budgets, we can require that they abide by the budgets, and our involvement ends there possibly. So yeah, that's all. All that is public knowledge. The water board, Dale's probably got a better handle on all on what's owed and where those drain accounts stand.
I think TPO4 is underwater, but that is an illegal drain. Well, it is a legal drain, but it isn't levied yet.
It isn't levied yet. That'd be the Carmen drain.
Yeah.
Who's TBO4?
Thompson Bridge.
Thompson Bridge.
Oh,
And I think
well, construction hasn't even started on it.
no,
No, it's the engineering cost that'll put it.
Right.
but the drain balances like on the Karnak drain is positive 13.5. Cooperstown drain is positive 3. And I think that's a Cooperstown Tyrell.
Tyrell?
That's a positive drain balance and
Of three. Is that the one that's 3?
3,000. And then the other legal drain is GC3. I'm not sure which one that must be the one that
Goes around town here?
goes around town. That has $8.
That has what?
$8.
Well, I think the city made the last payment on that one, didn't they?
Yeah, but
It's not an assessment, though. The city, they have some gentleman's agreement, right? There's no assessment on that drain, is there?
No, no. It was never voted. As far as I know.
No, it wasn't. There was no assessment on the drain, and therefore the city doesn't have an assessment. That was a gentleman's agreement for the construction. The water board went and borrowed the money, and the city agreed to pay him back.
How much is owed on it yet? Is it?
I think the city made their last installment on it. I think I don't have the numbers.
So that loan balance is zero?
Loan balances. I don't.
So one time the city was talking they'd like to be in charge of that drain. It goes around, maybe they're gonna get their wish.
Well, it has to be, there's a process in place to assess maintenance costs to these drains and to actually make that drain a legal drain. The process has never been carried out. The same as the Karnak drain and the Silver Creek drain, which have been voted on, and our legal drains have never been levied yet.
Oh, really?
No. So the clock is ticking away. It's a 20-year duration, and Now we're down to 17 years.
Yeah. So you're
So the
compressing
payments
your
are getting bigger.
payments into a smaller
Yeah.
time frame.
Probably 18, I think, on a TO4, but it's been a
Right.
couple years since it's been voted on. I think 04 it was voted on.
So anyway, we're hoping the new water board gets in place and gets these levies in place
Sure.
and gets the maintenance levies in place and gets things more functional, is our hope.
Because I know we've been paying them. It's within our tax bill, so I'm
Mhm.
sure you do too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's that?
On our legal drain, the Cooper Tyrell.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that goes across a little property that I have out by Jesse.
Oh.
That's part of that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So we'll have a three-man board. I need one more guy.
So who do we have?
I found, Fred Lukens has agreed to sit on that board. And Tom Dahl. Have you found anybody else?
No, the guy we thought was going to decided he wasn't going to have enough time and we're going to wait.
Right. So I call, who, do you want to do this or do you want help doing this or?
Well, if you can beat the bushes and get somebody to come out, it's fine, but I wouldn't discourage it.
Okay. Well, I just, on my way back from Mackville today, I called Jason Gronenberg. I would kind of like to have.
Different areas?
Yep. Fred, local, central, southern, whatever. So Jason's going to ponder.
Okay.
I had Sam print off some copies of the Century Code that explains what the function of a water board is supposed to be, and I'm going to get those to those people. Jason especially, because I think people have a misconception of what the function of the water board is based on what it has been. I don't know that that's an accurate job description. I don't, the perception by the producers in the county, it seems to me, is that the water board is an enforcement agency, and I don't think that's their purpose.
Right.
Well, in this, I kind of do disagree with that, though. I was just reading through some of the duties of the water board. It is to regulate the streams to prevent flooding, not just streams, any waterways, or to regulate their deepening or their width to prevent flooding. So I kind of would disagree with that.
Well, in the townships, they used to help us size culverts and that sort of thing, you know, rather than that.
And that's definitely not a function.
Well, if he talks about flooding.
But he's
helping
talking about
prevent
established. He's talking about natural waterways. I believe is what you're talking
Well,
about.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't say. I'll try to find it. It doesn't necessarily say what natural waterways.
I think they can compel you to clean a natural waterway.
Correct.
Coming through your property.
Correct.
If it's backing up on someone else's property.
That is correct. Yep.
Yeah. Or put a culvert in a spot, you know, roads can't stop the natural flow of water.
But that'll be to the interpretation of
Well, here it is
of
right
the new
here.
board.
6116.109, subsection 7 is regulate and control water for the prevention of floods and flood damages by deepening, widening, straightening, or banking channels or floodplains of any stream or water course within a district, and construct reservoirs or other structures to impound and regulate its waters. So I would say that they do have some sort of regulation and enforcement power within waterways in the county.
Well, what's the definition of a waterway? I've read that many times, and I took the definition of a waterway to be a natural waterway.
Water course?
Yeah. But nevertheless, that's for the interpretation of the
new water board.
The new water board and the county commission has the ability to approve funds accordingly. So if the water board is spending money or wants to spend money, it has to be at the discretion of the county commission. And if the county commission doesn't allow them to spend that money, then that will limit the extent to which the water board, how aggressive they can be. And it's a natural check and balance. It's supposed to be that way. But the water board, all these drain projects, almost all these drain projects have the ability to let the landowners, the people that benefit from the project, pay for the project. And that's, I believe, the way it should be. I don't think general tax dollars should be used to benefit the few. I think if there's a drain project, fine, that's good. But let's have the people that are benefiting from it pay for it. And then the water board can be as large as it wants to be because it's funded from an outside source rather than general tax dollars.
Well, this is what I asked before. I said that the water board doesn't even have to be the legal drains board.
Not an assessed drain, no.
Not an assessed drain, so.
Yeah.
Does it have to be then around the city where the city is not an assessed drain?
I don't know, Jamie. I don't know what is the status of that drain. It's just.
I don't know what it is. I really don't.
The landowner should be in charge of it the way it stands,
Well,
right?
if it's a private drain, though, the water board isn't in charge of it. If it's a privately funded drain,
Who paid for it?
City, the water board, the water board used general tax dollars to pay for it. Some of the landowners,
I think there's some FEMA money even that came into that deal.
they got it, yeah. But I mean, we're not here to make water board policy.
Yep.
We're just appoint the water board and let them determine what the function of the water board should be. So how do we proceed forward then, guys?
We appoint a new water board.
Appoint the two guys that have agreed and
Keep
team
looking.
our search for a third.
I'd move we appoint Fred Lukens and Tom Dahl to the Griggs County Water Resource District.
Tom agreed?
Yes.
Oh.
It's been moved by Sean to appoint Fred Lukens and Thomas Dahl to the Griggs County Water Resource District Board. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion?
Yes, we need to we need to stagger their terms. So I would suggest that Tom be the 3-year term, Fred be the 2-year term, and whoever comes on board is the 1-year term. Is that correct, Jamie?
yeah, well, yeah, you can appoint them to fill the unexpired portions of the terms of the individuals that were on the water board.
That's what has to be done, yeah. So the problem is that they were appointed for 4-year terms and they can only be appointed for 3-year terms, so most of the terms are expired. I believe the only term that's not expired is the chairman, Bob Brooks, will expire the first of the year, and Lee Munson, I think, has 2 years left, if it's a 3-year term. So how do we handle that, Jimmy?
Well, just like
Let's live on the edge.
Okay.
Do whatever we want.
Then why don't we appoint?
well, whoever you want to fill the last person that expires their term. I mean it just do as you said. If
Can't we just start them on new stag?
yeah, if you want Tom to fill the third year, the 3-year, the term with the longest amount of time remaining, have Tom fill that one, and Fred the next one, and the last person the following one.
Okay. So under that scenario, Tom would fill Lee's term. Fred would fill Bob's.
Well, that would make Fred, at end of the year, then he'd be done.
Then you have, right, but then you just have to be reappointed, yeah.
What now?
Well, I mean, then he'd be reappointed at the end of the year.
Do we reappoint, or they just?
Yeah, we do.
Get a motion in a second.
We got a motion and a second on the table. Since all these guys resigned at the same time, I don't know why we wouldn't just start fresh and say Tom Dahl is a 3-year term, Fred has a 2-year term, and whoever we find to fill the next guy is a 1-year term, and we'll rotate them through that way.
Hang on here.
But we need an amendment to the motion to do
Unless
that.
there's something in the country code.
Hang on, that's in here. I'll make a motion, we take a 10-minute break. I'll fix it.
I don't think you can make a motion when there's a motion on the table.
Well, somebody make a motion to suspend the
You
motion.
can table the motion.
Table the motion.
You can make a motion to table the motion and take a 10-minute break, John.
Well, unless you want to sit there while Jamie looks this up.
If we're gonna take a break, I might as well go to the John.
Okay, here we go.
I don't know. I'm looking for them.
Okay, when the seat becomes vacant, the manager appointed to fill a vacancy shall serve the unexpired term of the manager whose office became vacant. So each one of those terms, they're unexpired terms, so they complete the term of that office, and then they need to be reappointed. And just so you guys know, I don't know, they added a new section of code this year that those guys, within 3 months after the start of the water of an individual's term as district manager, the individual shall attend a course in water management. And each district manager shall attend a course on water management every 3 years during the manager's term. It's something that was new that was added this year, of course.
I bet you can order the CD, DVD.
Association of counties that have it. Or you can.
Are you the one that's been representing at the water board? How far does it almost sounds like the Silver Creek thing, that's a different deal?
Yeah.
Where does that start?
It's the south border of Griggs County.
Yes, it comes out of Barnes County. It's a joint board.
Okay. It isn't, you're not talking about this deal that goes around town?
No, that comes out by
That's Cherry Creek.
Oh, that's Cherry Creek, that's right.
Rose Slough is the headwaters.
Okay.
I guess, of the Silver Creek, and then it comes into Griggs County. I think it loops in and out several times and ends up by Ray Haugen's and
Oh, okay.
down in that neighborhood.
So we'll need an amendment to Sean's motion, naming,
Whose terms they're taking.
right, and if we want, if Tom Dahl should take the term of Lee Munson, and then the only other term that's still remaining is Bob, and that'd be the end of the year.
Okay. And I will amend my motion to include that Tom Bell fulfills the remainder of Lee Munson's term and Fred Lukens fills the remainder of Bob Brooks' term.
been moved by Sean to amend his original motion to include Tom Dahl fulfilling the remaining term of Lee Munson and Fred Lukens filling the term of Bob Brooks. Is there a second? Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion?
So is that right, Jimmy?
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we shall vote on the motion as amended. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Well, I'll keep working, and Dale will keep working, and we'll find somebody. Delinquent tax sale ad.
Okay, this came up at the last meeting to get a minimum bid put in place. When I did put the ad in, we did find one mistake on the legal description of one, and so it wasn't block 7, it was block 74. So that got changed, and the minimum bid of
The first parcel.
yeah, the first parcel, it was at 3,000.
600 and something. I think, right?
Yeah, something like that. And the city had torn down that building this year. And so, with that being said, there's going to be a $10,000 special assessment put on it next year. Obviously, this minimum bid would not be enough to cover that. So, Jamie told me that this would be the best thing to put this minimum, or the 10,000 put on for the minimum bid for the tax sale. So
And then that fourth property, they came in and paid their taxes. That's why that one's crossed off.
Yep.
Between now, the last board meeting, or last commissioners meeting.
Yep.
Do all these have properties on them?
So improvements, you mean?
Or any buildings, or is it just
Okay,
bare lots?
let me go through these things for you. I drove around town one night to try to figure this out. So, here's what I found. And that's how this, actually, the first one. So I drove into town, and that building over that little block duplex across to the east of the grade school, the old grade school.
Oh, yeah.
Used to be where Dennis
Right.
used to
Yeah.
live.
So it's done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's that property.
And that's the
Lots
$10,000.
13 and 14?
So I stopped at the city to see what the scoop was, and then the girls in there said, "Well, that can't be the minimum bid on that because we were going to bill the cost of the building removal to that taxpayer." Well, I said, they don't own it anymore. The county owns it. They didn't know, so they went and put all that money into that lot.
Oh.
Little problem.
Yeah, they kind of goes to the county first and then back to the city, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. So then, in the process of trying to figure out where these properties were that day, I found a typo in that legal description on the third one, which was supposed to be block 74 instead of block 7. So then,
So it almost sold the coachman?
yeah.
He's been trying to for a while.
Just the window seat.
So then,
10-foot strip.
I said, let's just not put this in the paper today. So I called the paper, I emailed Mara and told her to take it out of there because we need to talk about it. Well, since then, now the city's found, they came with a number for the minimum bid on that lot, or those two lots, those first two. Now that second parcel, it's a 15-foot strip on the south end of lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, block 54. So where that is you know where Andrew Johnson built that new shop?
Yeah.
So he has the north 65 feet of blocks 1, 2, 3, 4, lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then Al Duval has the next 70 feet of blocks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's a 15-foot strip in there between, it looks like where the old alley used to be.
What it was.
So that was part of Tom Olson's property on the original deed when he bought that property, but he didn't pay the taxes on it, so it went back to the county, and some guy bought it in 2010, and now he's not paying the taxes. Well, it turns out Zon's just bought Al's house, so I called Michelle, so they're going to come and pay the taxes on that at the sale.
And take that property.
I got a question, Jamie. So they put this $10,000 assessment. So
Well, I was going to get there too.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, go ahead.
I mean,
So on whose responsibility it is? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, so this next property is the same thing. This $3,600 deal, block 74. Or no, the second one.
Second one.
No, the third one, block 74. That is that little house behind Everson's in the alley there.
Oh,
Yeah.
little square guy
Yeah.
in the middle of the block, yeah.
Well, we've owned that for a year. I don't know why we kept it for a year, but it was on last year's tax sale. Nobody bought it. And I couldn't talk any of those neighbors over there into buying it either, just to get rid of it. Because they think it's too much money. Well, what it is the backwater and garbage and sewer bill
Oh,
that didn't get paid during the time the taxes weren't getting paid, because the taxes aren't very high on that piece of property. Well, the city tells us what the minimum bid is, and we can't get it sold because the market value is not anything near that.
yeah.
So I think your question was, we don't want to keep these on our books.
No, we can get rid of them. We can deed them over as soon as they have to be offered on the sale one time.
Well, I get that.
But after that, if we want to deed them to the city for $1, we can.
But
What if they don't pay the dollar? I mean, I'll pay the dollar. Can they refuse them? That's my question. I mean, ultimately, the city is better equipped to get rid of this real estate than we are. It's in town.
Well, yeah. My question went a little bit farther.
Okay.
And it related to this property that was a big mess down there. And the city, if you remember this summer, was trying to claim that the county was responsible for the upkeep on that property. So if the city sets a value on this property that it can't be sold and it's in county's hands, then who's responsible for the upkeep and a cost incurred when it's in the county's hands? Don't we have the ability to sell it? Don't we have the ability to set the price on it? And the city comes in and then buys it back and then has a lien on that property, I think is the way it's supposed to work.
I don't know, but we can't keep wanting these things.
No.
I'm not sure if they've got a. I mean, they can come buy it. They can come get it for whatever the value, whatever you guys set for value on it.
I mean,
But don't they have to protect their investment? It's not our responsibility to protect their investment, it's theirs.
Right.
Just like if you were a second mortgage holder on a piece of property that was being sold, it was being sold and you were going to be out the money, you'd come in and protect your investment. I think it's the same way on these deals. I think we should offer this stuff at a $10 and let get people here to bid on it. You'll get the most money that way. If somebody is $10, two people think it's worth 10, maybe they think it's worth 20,
Well,
30, 40.
You have to set the price at the
Minimum
act
tax rate.
at the taxes.
One time. But after it doesn't sell, then you can set it anywhere you want, correct?
After it doesn't sell, we should just deed it to the city.
It can be just
Yeah.
given back to the city. There's no use. There's no need to have it on a sale a second time. Give it back to the city and let them take care of it.
But the city might, what happens if they don't take it? What happens if they say, no, we're not taking it because we think the county is responsible for paying all the fees against it?
Well, that's kind of what you guys did with that Zon property. We didn't sell it at the sale, then we got a bid that was way lower than even the back taxes.
Maybe you shouldn't
And
put
we
a
just
bunch of work
abated
in
all those
property you don't
taxes.
own.
The city abated them.
And then the county did.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the city has the ability to do that, but if they don't do it, which in these two cases they have not done, then we should just deed it to them. The grantee is not a participant in the filing of a deed, John.
Right. We could he signs the deed. Grantee doesn't have to sign the deed, so we can
File the
pay
deed.
filing fees and it's theirs.
Cheers.
After it doesn't sell at the sale.
Right.
That was my point. How do we get,
Because
I don't care how we do it, let's just get rid of the
We can get all the
liability.
property right.
There's no
Let's get rid of the
possible
liability
way
of
the
it.
city can set the minimum bid and then we have to live with it. That, it cannot work.
That's
that
what I
way.
mean. How do we get rid of the liability of having to live with that?
What we can do the day after the sale, we can sign a deed over the city. Or the next commission meeting, probably
No.
what would be the best.
Not for a year. We have to protect that property for a year. Because because from the time of the sale, the owner has a right of redemption up to 1 year. So that's why when we just turned over the deed here for a property that we sold last year, we just did it lately. Because we have to hold that deed, yeah, we do.
They have up until the day of the sale.
We've always given the deed.
They have
You're
up
right,
until
I
the
thought
day
there
of the
was a
sale.
year redemption.
There's a year redemption. We're supposed
There
to.
is, but the buyer's at risk for that, not the county.
But
Right.
the
Right.
buyer's a risk, but that's why we hold the deed.
We
That's
don't
what
hold the
did.
deed.
We don't hold.
We don't hold the deed.
We're supposed to.
No, we didn't hold the deed on any.
I
We've
know.
never.
No, that last one that we did, they came
Contract
in.
for it, but we're supposed to hold the deed because.
Oh, we held the deed on that one because it was a cleanup deal.
Right.
Well, that's that Zon property. We actually gave them the deed, and
Oh,
then
with
we
the
kept
condition.
a
We
different
kept
one.
a quick claim deed from them.
Yeah.
Okay.
My point is, if we sell a property tomorrow, and then 6 months from now, the person that
No,
property is
they only
sold.
have the right up until the day of the sale to redeem it.
A year, I think, of
I'll
redemption.
find the quote, but
Or is it already been delinquent for a year
it's
when the
already
sale
been
comes?
delinquent.
Okay.
This has been in our name for a year, right?
No, but before that, this property here, have they already served out to 3 years and plus another year? Is that how it works?
I'll read the quote right here.
Okay.
That strip has been in the county's name for over a year, so we can
Right.
we can do that one. That one's
And that little building, that little house too.
no, that's new.
No, it's not because
Which
of
one?
that third one.
One behind the bank?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I was
Vern
talking
Oren's-
about.
Vern
That's that
Oren's
third one.
This is the strip.
Wasn't Hovde kid living in
This
Yeah.
is,
He didn't own it?
Kind of.
I mean, squatter.
No, there was a mix-up with a contract for deed.
oh, that's right. He tried to come and file a deed
That's
and,
right.
and the taxes weren't paid.
That's right.
Well, you can't do that. Part of the taxes, part of the assessment on those taxes was the water bill and the sewer
Right.
and the garbage, and
Yeah.
the city wouldn't forgive any of it, and he didn't have the money to pay it, so. I don't know how much money changed hands between him and the previous owner. It was a bad deal, but he didn't do his homework on the chain of title.
Yeah.
He feels a whole nother issue.
Right. If you buy a piece of real estate, pay the $80 to get a title opinion.
Yeah.
That's the lesson learned.
So these properties that have the assessment against them, if you go to the recorder's office and pull up that piece of property, will there be a lien against it? Will there be an assessment against it?
If you go into the treasurer's office and pull it up, yes, the special assessments are in there.
No, I'm talking about this $10,000 that the city is trying to put on as a valuation.
It's not on
Not a
there.
lien yet.
It's not on there now. It's on there next year.
Okay, so then how do we assess that to the property right now then? If it's not legally assessed to the property?
Because we're looking forward 1 year on all of them. And they're gonna put it on next year.
But we're selling it now.
Yep, we're selling them all with next year's taxes paid.
That was my question too.
And
but
that's not a tax. They put a fee for tearing it down, and that's not a tax.
Dale, you can get into a winter home pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Doghouse.
But they said since we know about it, to just do it, because we're doing the 3 years back taxes plus 1 more year.
Keith
Jamie
and
then
Jeannie,
said that
too,
then
when they first
we already
got
know
there.
that that assessment's gonna be put on there, so then just to do it.
Yeah, I think John's right. I think that's not taxes. That's just like the water bill kind of a thing.
The former former owner's executor, administrator, or any parent, spouse, or child of the former owner may repurchase any property forfeit to the county under tax deed proceedings, so long as the tax title to the property remains in the county. So,
And that's why it's supposed to remain in the county for the year.
But these have all been in our name for a year, haven't they?
Just that one.
I thought they got deeded over last year.
No. No, the top 2 are delinquent for 3 years. So those are new properties coming up. And then that, the other one, that third property was up at the tax sale last year. And so that's been in the county's name for a year.
So that one's, the redemption period's passed.
But these other 2
So
are
we can
painful.
sell these other 2, but we gotta keep the deed in our name, is that right?
I don't think so. There's another portion of the code that states up until the day of the sale.
It's under right of redemption in the, I don't know if I can find it right now, but I've got it a couple different times.
So you have the sale and you buy the property, but you can't take ownership for 1 year after that?
I don't think so. I think you just can't spend any money, because if they come back and get it back, you gotta give it away. I mean, you gotta deed
They
it.
have to
You're
pay
entitled
you.
to those
Plus
you're-
improvements.
You're entitled to get whatever improvements you made. From
Oh,
the
you are?
person.
Oh, okay.
Interest and improvements.
Okay.
But it is a year redemption, and it's after the sale.
Make
Right.
it too nice,
And
they
that's why
can't
the
afford
county's
to buy
supposed to hold
it
that
back.
damn deed.
You can't hold the deed. Otherwise, who's gonna buy it and who's gonna make any improvements?
That's the point. Not many people do. But back, and I don't think it's changed. Back when property used to change hands for taxes, a lot of people did that, and they did it because they knew that it was going to get bought back. But they got paid for the interest because the interest rate was a lot higher than the going interest rate at that time. That was a common practice back 80 years ago. That land bought at taxes and held and then reclaimed, but the interest had to be paid. But if we can give it to the city, let's give it to the city. And if we have the right to set the value, let's set the value.
I don't think we do that.
Or let them worry about it?
We have to. We don't assess city property.
Yeah.
County doesn't assess anything.
I don't.
All we're owed is the delinquent taxes.
We're not owed nothing, that's the city's.
Well,
Well, you see the problem. I mean, I can't get it clear in my head either how it's supposed to work.
Can we do that? Can we just turn it over to the city?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing it since
Wherever.
1884. I think we can keep doing it.
It's $1 a lot, I think we've done.
Yeah, I'll donate the $2. Last
But first
one.
we have to have it at sale.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if it's not purchased at the sale, then it can.
Yeah, if these things both get bought for the minimum bid at the sale, it's not an issue. I just don't feel like they will be.
Okay. What do you need now then?
Well, how does the cleanup? How does that become part of the taxes? I don't get that.
Not my problem.
I suppose they're just filing a lien on it for what they did to it, I suppose.
I don't think they did file a lien. You file a lien against the real estate, not against the taxes. But
I think they,
But they have
the owners
taxing-
gave them from, well, they weren't really the owners at the time either, because it was already, county already owned it.
Thank you.
I don't know what they did. I don't even care.
Let's just have the tax sale and see what happens.
Yeah.
See
They
if
gave
it's-
them
if it-
permission, but they weren't exactly owners of it at the time.
We didn't take possession until October. I think it got tore down just before.
In September.
Probably
Yeah, in September. So he was still the owner for a few weeks.
Maybe it'll be the same thing with Tudor's house.
Probably.
Tudor paid his taxes though.
Yep.
Oh, did he?
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so we need to set the price of the tax, for the tax sale now?
We need a motion to advertise these parcels at these prices as the minimum bids, because the minimum bid changed and there was a correction made in the legal description. So we had a motion at the last meeting to advertise
Yep.
this stuff, and I pulled it out of the paper.
Because
So
of
I took over as king for a day there.
Cheryl would have took
So
off.
it didn't run then.
It did not run.
Cheryl would have took off and Texas as a business owner and came back.
It's sold.
It was the wrong block.
I know.
I don't know where block 7 is.
Well, we almost sold somebody's property that we didn't have possession of anyway.
That would have been a goings on. And it's a little tiny spot, so it might have been like somebody's fire pit in their backyard.
I'll move we advertise the real estate forfeited to Griggs County. Griggs County Courier.
Been moved by Sean to advertise the minimum bids of the tax forfeited property as presented. Is there a second? Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Road. So, just a little tidbit on the road before we look at these reimbursement requests. There was an accident 7 miles west of Hannaford the other day,
Yeah.
and there's 2 lucky guys there that lived through it. But they made a heck of a mess. And that one truck spilled all its fuel. So the highway patrol had that road closed for better than a day, which I don't know if that's right for them to do that. It was a accident scene, not a crime scene. But Ben Jacob called me. He was afraid that the state was going to make him mine all that gravel and the road bed out of there to contain the diesel fuel. So he had called Wayne and gotten permission to do that. And then when the state did get there, and it was only a diesel fuel leak, they allowed the county to come down there and reshape the road.
Was
And-
one of them Central Plains trucks?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why Ben got involved.
okay. Didn't know that. I just heard the 2 names of the drivers in it.
Right. And that one truck, it tore the front axle right out of it when they hit each other. And then that frame just dug into the road. It was quite a trench in the road. Did you look at the pictures on KFGO's website? Whew. Those trucks were mush.
Head on, wasn't it?
Both loaded.
Kind of grazed. Yeah, no, I don't think. I think that's.
One full, one empty.
Yeah, because they were meeting, and the one guy was way too close. There's 2 trucks coming in east, and the one guy was way too close to the other guy, and he couldn't see. And the Central Plains guy couldn't see him. So
Cattail fuzz, I guess, and dust and everything else.
you know, neither here nor there. But if you're driving a truck, and you better slow down enough so you can see where you're going.
Yeah. That would be up to the patrol officers to
Sort that out.
citation.
Anyway, the road got fixed up and they didn't have to mine all that gravel out of there and go look for some more, so that was a good thing for everybody. Okay. We have a funding reimbursement request here.
You have 2.
2. one for project 2020-054. Which one is that?
Highway 22, 28, 19, and 2. That's the 333, 86.
Oh, this is just the remainder of for the graveling projects.
Must be the retainage.
And then the other one is County 23 structure replacement, the 14,000.
Oh, that's just for the engineering. That's this, right?
I would move that we authorize the funding reimbursement request for project 2020-054 and 0020-032 in the amounts of $3,386 and $14,350 respectively.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Joseph. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Aye. Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried. Did you see that DOT? We get this every year, I think, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
You got any bike trails or anything you want to put in?
I think I'm good.
I need a safe route from the golf course to my house.
What do you want, a tunnel?
So, did this get
Zip
forwarded
line.
to the city?
Excuse me?
Did this get forwarded to the city?
No.
Better, because if you look in
They probably get one.
no, because cities below 5,000 or cities below 5,000 our population must apply through a board of county commissioners.
Oh.
So they better send this to the city and see if they have any projects
Okay.
that would be interested in.
Okay. Old courthouse, new courthouse.
Just one thing on there. Last Friday, we had a sewer leak in the new courthouse. Down on the EOC side, we're wondering if when we were working on, or you guys were working on that or whatever, if it came loose or something, but it was awful over there, and it spread, since the heat was on, it spread throughout the entire courthouse. So
The heat was on. There's 9 air handlers in the courthouse. Oh, is it all open return?
This
Well,
one.
that side of it is. But anyway, I thought when we left that, the sheriff was going to fix that the next day. I asked him 3 times, "Are you going to fix this?" "Yep, no problem. I'll put a cap on it." But evidently, that didn't happen.
I called Schultz. We had them emergency come, and they fixed it. And then they left a note for us that we need to have management or maintenance put water and mineral oil in each of the drains to make sure that they don't evaporate.
Traps.
Yeah,
Did it smell like an oofta taco?
it was so awful.
Well, we didn't do anything to it. We just, but I'm sure the wind just switched and something happened to it.
Yeah.
Or those cabinets were open. See if the cabinets were open on either
But
side.
if the wall was open on the other side.
Well, it stunk bad. It stunk in there
For a long time, yeah.
Well, since the building's open, it stunk in the bathroom.
When we were in there that day, it smelled.
Yeah.
But it was like overly excessive.
But it's bound to if you don't have all the sewer. It's not a sewer leak. It's just a sewer gas.
Oh.
Open sewer.
So anyway,
So
I can't believe that something that simple can't be handled by somebody that works here every day. That just never ceases.
Well, I thought it was
to
settled. I
amaze me.
mean, when we left
I know
there.
that. It's been settled how many times in the last year?
Yeah, it is now.
His mentor was going to settle it too. Just burns my.
So it's done with?
yep, we got it fixed.
Okay.
And then I did let what?
Except for the drywall, no.
Yeah. And I did let Brian and Deb know about the drains and stuff like that, so they know to do that.
All the floor drains and all the drains that aren't being used.
Yeah.
There's so many floor drains in this building that nobody ever sees.
Yeah. But just in mineral oil and water and mineral oil on top of them, they still dry out. Okay, so as long as we're on the water, the old courthouse, what has happened to that is, are we gonna heat that?
No. Did we budget for it? I think we did. Then we probably should.
Well, I mean, we gotta make a choice here pretty soon. That boiler system is not a boiler system that uses antifreeze in the system. That uses
Water.
water. And it is all still hooked up. And if we let that thing freeze, it's going to break every damn radiator in that place.
Yep. Well, not everyone. A lot of them.
Enough to relieve pressure.
And so the only way to do that, and I don't know how you would winterize that thing because that system's got so many dead ends in it, and it won't drain. It was never intended to be shut off ever, you know.
It shouldn't have been.
No. So we got the last time that Brian was here, we left him hanging on what we're going to do with it.
We budgeted for coal though, didn't we?
We did.
I think we made the decision that
Somebody better reinforce that.
Maybe we should heat it then this year anyway, till we can get our ducks in a row.
Well, it's got. I mean, we got to. I mean, quickly here. It's going to be cold enough where it's going to cause some damage quickly. And I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any bills paid for coal. And there's very little coal left in the bin.
I don't know.
No, I looked in there.
It won't freeze in there till Thanksgiving.
Some of those upper floors on the north facing walls, there's no insulation in that thing.
No.
How long do we have to wait before we can start?
We don't. We have to get the blessings of a few bureaucracies. Otherwise, we can't do anything with it other than maintain it. And it can't be destroyed through neglect.
And they've said equivocally that we cannot tear it down. It isn't just go. We got to change their mind. And we have multiple letters, or the ex-commissioners had multiple letters stating that it had to be maintained and couldn't be torn down. And if we do tear it down, we have to pay back the $1 million of quote free money that we got when
The EOC grant.
the EOC grant.
Can't use federal dollars to replace a building that's currently on the register and then go destroy the building on the register unless you get the blessings of the State Historical Society and the DES. Is that right?
No, local, state, and then it's on the
Bob was supposed to be working on it. I haven't.
local, historical, state historical, and the agency funding it.
Right.
Yep.
So I suppose the place to start is local anyway, right off the bat.
Yeah, but they've all already denied it on numerous occasions and put it in writing that it's denied.
The local has.
No,
The
the
state.
The state.
Merlin.
Yeah.
He's from Finley.
Hoverud.
Is the state historical director.
From this area.
Huh?
From this area, is what you're saying, or he's
He's a state.
okay.
director or whatever.
And we've had a JAG opinion from them. From North Dakota DES saying that we can't tar town.
Yeah. They tried, the ex-commissioners tried to get, because it already stated they were going to, and to no avail. I mean, yeah, that we have opinion from the.
But the JAG opinion is based on the Historical Society
Correct.
response.
Correct.
If we got the Historical Society to give us the nod, I don't think anybody else would stand in our way. Right? That's the feeling I got, but I could be wrong.
And I thought Bob was working on that.
Yeah. I think that was going in with the DES funding request.
Get two birds with one stone.
So anyway, that's where we stand on that. So we're, the statute says it can't be destroyed as a result of neglect, which means you got to heat it and maintain it. And
Yeah, I know they tried to get
You know where I live? You know where I live?
We didn't want it.
Right there.
Oh, for real.
So,
Huh?
Oh, for real.
so whereas that thing cost us $6,000 a year to heat, this thing costs $30,000.
Well, this is Cooperstown. This is
Yeah.
Highway 200.
No, you can't beat the coal.
Larry Iverson's is right here on the highway.
Okay.
And we're
They'd
right
probably
here.
let us tear this one down.
Okay. Where does Jaws live?
Who?
Jaws?
Louise?
Yeah. It's just like over there, right?
I wonder if she...
So on account of the
Yeah.
grant that they got to build this one,
think
that's the reason they can't tear that one
Oh,
down.
right here it is. That little white dot right there.
Okay.
But that wasn't,
She lives right
that
on the
wasn't
other
what
side
the
of
public
that
was
bridge.
told at the time. It was free money and they were gonna tear that down, and there could be these big savings.
Well, this was free plus 3.4 million.
Yeah, plus $70,000-$80,000 higher operating expenses and. But someone else's money.
We need to get Brian to light the boilers and order some coal.
Unless we're willing to let them bring it up, I don't wanna take the responsibility for
I
it.
think we should get heat at it. Doesn't have to be 75.
I think it's 75, no matter what you said.
If you want part, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be 75.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be 75 at 50 below, with the wind blowing 50 miles an hour on the north side. We had those meetings up there and it was nice and toasty
Yeah.
on the north. Yeah. So, Samantha, you're gonna instruct him to,
I will. Keep heating the building.
get the building heated.
Okay.
Not gonna like it.
Okay.
Any more new courthouse, old courthouse? Do you guys want to get Craig or somebody to fix the sheetrock in that bathroom where that leak was?
Yeah, someone can do it.
Get to who they can.
Want to find somebody to fix the sheetrock in that bathroom?
Sure.
Okay.
Anybody that I want?
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else?
See if we got the dirt in on the east side and leveled.
Yeah, that's not quite done out there.
No, but
That
better than the
manhole.
piles where the other
Well,
day.
yeah. John called him and had him come back and do a little better job, but that manhole on just north of the building, kind of between almost the
Mhm.
buildings, still sticking out of the ground this far. But I don't know if a guy dares put much fill in there because
No.
that water between the buildings has to run to the street. And I've never
you're just
set a
gonna-
laser up there to see what kind of drop there is in there, but it doesn't look like very much.
Don't need a dam.
I looked at it today, that manhole is either gonna have to have a ring taken off it, or it's gonna have to stay up like that, because it's already too high, it's already not gonna drain that way. So,
Do you have a laser?
Hawkeye.
It don't work that way, buddy.
One of the water board that's coming in.
Yeah.
You'll make that water run.
I know.
I can tell when I'm walking downhill.
Anything else?
The movie adjourned.
Been moved by Sean that we adjourn, seconded by Dale. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 3:23 p.m. Next meeting will be here on November 3rd at 1 p.m. and the next meeting after that, 17th at 1 p.m.